So use your body sense once you get down there. Nice focused breath into your body. Tune into your masses and spaces, yeah? So I want you guys just to scan your body, on the ground, off the ground, what's on the ground, what's off the ground. In your upper body, I want you to notice your head, your arms, and your torso. You guys all take class fairly frequently. You guys who don't, we're looking for ideal placement of those masses. Head at its center behind the bridge of your nose. Back of the arms, evenly balanced left to right. And ideally, your back weight is on your mid-rib wall. Whatever. Mid-rib wall, rather than the shoulder blades. Notice if all of your back weight feels almost entirely way up in the upper one-third part of your back. You could also take the moment, turn your head left and right. 3 ways to tell you got stuck stress in movement. You have limited range. You feel pain in your neck or your shoulders move for you to turn your head. Make a check mark there. Notice the shape and size of your low back curve when your head comes back to center. How big is that arch? If you want, stick a finger in your belly button. Use that as your landmark. Ideally, the arch of your back feels more lifted below the belly button rather than north up above. Notice if you've got the big arch. And then take your hand away. Notice your lower body masses, the pelvis, the back of thighs, the back of calves, and your heels. Ideally, in your pelvis, you're lying on 2 evenly weighted butt cheeks. Notice if you're feeling more your tailbone. Back of thighs, ideally, are on the ground. Notice if they feel lifted off or if the calf mass feels unevenly weighted. And then what's the angle of the feet? Ideally, it's like a letter V. If you're really noticing your feet are very turned out to the sides of the room or in 2 different angles, or most specifically, if you're really noticing your toes are pointed away from the ankles, I would call those signs of stuck stress in the pelvis. You can also divide yourself into a left and a right half from ear to heel. Do you feel balanced from left to right? Or are you perceiving one side of your body feeling more weighted or one leg feeling longer? That's autopilot inefficiency. That's kind of an inefficiency to find your center of gravity. So just remember if you're feeling any of those things, and remember 4 common ones, right? All your back weight's on your shoulder blades, mid-back's arched off the floor, tailbone's really weighted to the ground, back the thighs off the floor. If you got any of those, just make a little mental note. Bless you. All right, you guys got an idea of where you're at? All right, so turn yourself on your side. Come on up to sitting. I want to do a little upper back glide and shear, and then we're going to do some arm work today. We're going to do a couple of moves for that. So let's just start with maybe a basic assessment of rib length. So if you're going to do rib length, when you lie your torso onto the roller, if you bring one arm up and you kind of shimmy your shoulders, you want to feel like the bottom of your shoulder blade's on your side of the roller. It's not way up near your shoulders. It's not lower than the bra line. Once you're there, if you take your pelvis and you just tuck it a little bit so that the back of the pelvis is nice and on the ground, you curl your ribs forward and think about it. The bottom of the rib cage is going to stay right where it is, and you're going to try to find length in your torso only, not in your low back, not in your neck. So your head is, you're more pressing your head into your hands than you're pressing your hand into your head. And you breathe in here and just notice for any tension in your chest. And then stay here. How about side bending right and breathing into the left side of your body, noticing any tightness over there, and then come back through the midline and side bend to the left, and same thing. You got any tightness over there? Maybe this time as you side bend, notice how far do you go to the right, how far do you go to the left. Just kind of gain a sense there. Okay, and then come on back to center. Okay, feet firmly on the ground, point the elbows up, lift up your butt cheeks about 1 inch, and you guys are going to start with a random glide. You're just going to use your body to start to move up and down your back, and you guys can make it nice and big when you start. And what I want you to gain a sense of first is that your flat back. And what we want to do is change the flat back to more of a curved back because you're curling your chest forward and you're looking at your legs. So I want you to think 2 curved surfaces moving over one another so that you're presenting the bones instead of a flat back, kind of a round back. I even try to lift my elbows up toward the ceiling when I do that. I get smaller and smaller. I stop on a spot. I set my tucked pelvis down. I curl my ribs forward a little bit. And then I'm thinking of side bending, but what I'm really thinking of is I'm pinning that one bone on the roller, and I'm trying to arc the other bones over it into just a side bend, no rotation. And then I come back to a center point and I wait there. Okay, let my shoulders relax. I'm going to plant my feet on the ground, lift up my hips. I'm going to push into my feet, and this time I want you to move the roller anywhere into your mid-back, anywhere here. And same thing, you can start with a rather big motion, think flat back, But then instead of thinking of gliding your back on the top of the roller, curl your ribs a little bit and think more like you're trying to push onto your side of the roller. So you're sort of pushing into it and pushing back, pushing into it and pushing back. Really trying to get the compression right to the spinal bones. And then same thing, just get smaller and smaller. And then again, just stop on a spot, set your tucked pelvis down, curl your ribs forward, and same thing, we're going to go ahead and we're going to tip. And it's a teeny tiny tipping because what you're really thinking of is you're almost pushing into your feet and you're side bending over a joint that's being compressed. And then you're just going to go ahead and pause there for a second, give the tissue a moment to adapt. So that's all we're going to do with that. You're going to sit on up. We're going to come back to that rib length later. You're going to take your band, you're going to put it onto the mat, and you're going to put your roller over your band so that you're making a lowercase t. And then once you get it there, you're going to squash your butt on one side of the roller, and then you're just going to go ahead and lie on back so that you're all going to look like this once you get up there. Okay? Let me see you guys get there. So once you get up top, touch the top of your head. Make sure that your head actually 100% landed on the roller. If it didn't, just kind of wiggle yourself down a little bit, inchworm down a little. And then once you get up there, your feet are just about hip width apart. Lift up your hips. There you go. Come on down. Nice and down. Brilliant. Okay, so once you're there, feet hip width apart. Your heels aren't tucked back into you. They're maybe a little out. And hands on the ground, maybe forearms. And you're just going to begin with a little gentle rocking. Make sure that your head lands onto that roller 100%. Yeah? And you just gently rock. Rocking like right and left. So if I Velcroed your spine to the roller, you and the roller are simultaneously moving, giving the nervous system time to adapt to the compression on the spine and helping your autopilot reconnect to your center of gravity. You guys look great on that one. Come on back to a center point. Put your hands on the front of your pelvis and practice differentiating your pelvis from your torso. So you're going to tuck your pelvis so that the low back's going to travel toward the roller. You're going to lose your low back curve. You're not pushing into your feet to achieve that outcome. And then pass back through neutral, and then try to actively tilt your pelvis. Think about the back of the pelvis getting heavy right onto the top of the roller. That's going to increase your low back curve. Notice if your ribs came with you. You're going to tuck your pelvis again. If you need to, put your hands on your rib cage. Pay attention to where you want to stay still. And then tilt your pelvis actively till the center of the back of your sacrum gets onto the top of the roller. Do it 4 times. You're going to tuck your pelvis under, not pushing into your feet. Tilting your pelvis, not allowing your ribs to move. Tucking the pelvis, tilting the pelvis. So it could be very small. That's fine. It's all about neurological control here. It's not about size. It's about specificity. Right? One more time, tucking the pelvis under, actively tilting, and then find somewhere in the middle. Okay, once you have that middle spot, put both hands on your belly for a second. I want you guys to take a slower than normal inhalation into all 6 sides of your body, front, back, side, side, top, bottom. Exhale like a deflating tire. Go till there's absolutely no breath left. And I want you to feel that contraction inward into the torso. This time, take a breath in, make an HA sound on the second one. Go, and again, see if you can sense that inward contraction. And you could also try an SH sound, a shh. Whichever sound gives you more of that sensation that when you force exhalation, that your abdomen is deflating inward with contraction. Do it one more time. And really think about it. It's all 6 sides. It's not just front to back. It's top, bottom, side, side. So really kind of gain a sense of that pelvic floor, even squeezing, not your butt cheeks. And now this time, inhale, let it all go. Let your natural exhale initiate the breath. And then with your conscious mind, try to feel and follow that contraction. See if you can actually find it. Try and inhale again. Natural exhale, feel and follow. Find that contraction. Okay, keep that contraction in your mind. Reach around, grab your resistant band, drape it over your shoulders. And once you get it over your shoulders, you're going to grab it at the bottom. And you're going to crumble it up. And you're going to keep crumbling it until you've got so much band that if I asked you to put your thumbs on your temples, that maybe even with your elbows up and your arms in, you're already feeling that's going to be a lot of resistance on my band. Okay, so I've got a lot of it here. So I want you guys to keep your thumbs on your temples, and can you try a shoulder blade glide, elbows reaching up, elbows reaching back down, so that your shoulder blades are rubbing against your rib wall about 5 to 10 times. And I like keeping my thumbs on my temples when I do that to really see if I can feel the action of my shoulder blades moving forward and back. Okay, so on the last one, reaching the elbows up and then letting the shoulder girdle go heavy, find the middle of your ribs heavy, and then pull your hands away from your temples until your forearms look parallel to the ground. And you're just going to hold that pose. Now, once you're there, trick of this one is it's a shoulder stabilization technique. So instead of keeping your forearms like a parallel line, I want you to externally rotate and make more of a V. Yeah? And then again, check that your shoulder girdle's still heavy. So from right where you are at that 90-degree angle, just extend your elbows about 3 inches up. So you come about halfway up to the ceiling. You wait there for a second. And then nice and slow, you just bring it right back down again. Yeah, and try it again. You're going to just extend part of the way. You guys should really feel that tension coming past 90 should be tough. And then nice and slow, you come back down. Check that your hands are still wider than those elbows. Keep those elbows right over your shoulders if you can. Extend the arms up a little. Yeah, and then bring it right back to 90. Only that elbow's moving. One more time. You're close. Yeah, try to extend the elbows up. Let the shoulder girdle go heavy. Let the shoulder girdle go heavy, yeah. And then come back to 90 degrees. So now it's the elbow joint, right? So now you're going to come all the way up until those arms are absolutely straight. And then once you're there, go ahead and bend the elbows back down. Hands stay wider than those shoulders. Yeah, there it is. Aha. Try again, extending it up all the way. Yep, shoulder girdle stays heavy along the side of the roller, though, yeah? And then nice and slow, you're going to come on and back down. 2 more times, feet are nice and light, extending it up. So this is not just for the arms, right? This is coordinating the shoulder girdle stabilizers. Nice and slow, come on down. Yeah, so these guys go all the way down your ribs. One more time, extending them up. Nice. And then nice and slow, come on down. Okay, so now you go for your pattern. Now you know at the range, you extend the arms up, you bring it down. You bring them up, you bring it down. 2 more times, up, bring it down. 1 more time, up. Come just halfway down. Check that the shoulder girdle is still heavy. Ribs are heavy. And now pulse the arms. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release it all the way down. Okay. So take the arms straight up into the air for a second. Shoulder blades, again, are going to glide away from the roller. And then sink them back along the side of the roller. So a nice little shoulder blade reach, allowing the shoulder girdle to reach away from the floor. And then the shoulder girdle sinks back toward the floor. One more time. Up, away, and then nice and slowly back down. Good. Take your arms, hug your torso. I want you to try to keep your arms up high around your shoulder girdle, around that upper 1/3 part of your back. We're going to differentiate your ribs now. So check, before you move your ribs, tuck your pelvis, and then tilt your pelvis. Okay? So find more toward the tilt. Take a breath in. On an exhale, compress your arms into your chest, curl your ribs in your head forward, pause once you're in flexion, try to find a little bit more center of the back of the sacrum heavy in the tilt, and now try to lift your chest up, and then release it all the way down. So it's almost like a balancing act. Try it again. Exhale, curl your ribs and your arms forward, pause there, reset the pelvis toward the tilt, and then go straight up. And then release it all the way on back down. Swap the arms around. Try it on the other side. Same thing. So you take a breath in. On an exhale, you curl your ribs forward. You pause. You reset the pelvis. And then you try to go up. And then release it all the way down. Yep. One more time. Take a breath in. On an exhale, you curl forward. You pause. Reset the pelvis toward the tilt. And now go up. Yeah, and then release it all the way down. Exactly right. It gets way into the deep stabilizers of your spine. Take your time. Come on and off the roller. So let's see if we've actually activated that core reflex. So you just drop yourself on off. So the game of those is really as you're curling to keep the curl, and then it's just like one more vertebra comes up. It's super hard to do that one really spot on, but it actually should drop the rib wall. So tune back into your upper body masses and spaces. If your ribs are more down, if the arms are more relaxed, if the head feels more centered, all good signs we've got a little bit less stress in the shoulder girdle. Turn your head left and right, freed up any range, decreased pain, all good signs we've got some changes up top. How many of you guys got the changes up top? What about dividing yourself into the left and a right half? How many of you guys feel more balanced from left to right? So that's part of the core reflex. Also, if the arch of the back feels less extreme, also core stabilization occurs. If the pelvis or back of thighs come to the ground, I always think those are nice changes, but those are indirect. How many of you guys feel like you got one of those? Okay, so I want to do a little bit of hip gliding and shearing, and we're going to do a big hip series. Are you guys ready? All right, so come on up. So let's just glide and shear on the side hip and the deep hip. So let's start with deep hip here. So come on up onto the roller. You're going to sit up tall. And once you're up here, as soon as you get on up, just start gliding over your sit bones. Yeah. And we're going to do clams, we're going to do inner thigh, we're going to do side leg lift. We're doing 3 in a row, back to back to back. So this is your sit bones. If I take my left hand, I put it way out wide and I tip myself over to my left side. And I start to glide off of my sit bone and onto the musculature and the fatty tissue on the side of my hip. I'm deep. That's my deep hip. That's where the external hip rotators are when we do the clam. This is where you want to feel it. So once you're here, can you guys maybe create a swirling action? You could even drop that one leg out a little bit and see if you could glide that way. Might be a little harder for you to do it with one leg. But then you're going to bring your feet back together, and you're either going to clam the leg in and out. So I'm compressing the muscles that act upon this motion. That's an indirect shear. I could straighten out my leg. I could move my body left to right over the roller. And you guys who were here in the morning class, we did side hip on this, right? So a little bit further down. So you're going to wait there for a second. Same side, you're going to come down onto your forearm. I put your feet back together. And we did this one this morning. I had you guys kind of lean back a little bit and get closer to your tail and glide there. And then lean into it and get closer to the hip joint and glide over there. And just kind of do that a couple of times. Go toward the back side of the sacrum, go closer to the hip. And some of you guys are going to find there's like a big wad of goo living in your hip. And when you find one of those, instead of rolling over it, think about swirling around it. So I kind of make more of a circular motion. And then I get smaller and smaller, and I don't land right on it. It's almost like I'm trying to push into it, and then I meet that barrier. And again, I could clam my leg in and out. I could straighten my leg. I could roll my body over the roller. And in this area, a good one to do is cross friction. So if you want, lean way into it. You can even put your top hand on the ground. You're going to pin your flesh on the roller, and you're going to try to pry and crimp your hip bone against the flesh that's being pinned between your hip bone and the roller. And then you're just going to kind of wait there for a second. So that's where you guys should feel it when we do side leg lift. Okay, so come on back up. Let's try it over on the other side. So same thing, if I go up tall and I lean into it and I glide low in my hip, those are the external hip rotators. So again, I kind of go straight up and down a few times, and then I kind of lean a little. I kind of come back, and I see if anything is tender or anything feels lumpy. I don't like lumpy. I don't even like lumps in my oatmeal, really. I don't like lumps. Yeah. So again, once I find one of those, I kind of edge up against it. And then again, I sustain that pressure, and I contract the muscle against an area of compression. I could also just directly influence the tissue from the skin to the bone. I just kind of roll left to right. This is one area I wouldn't do cross friction. Yeah, I'm going to wait there for a second, and then I'm going to come down on my elbow. I'm going to put my feet back together. And again, I'm going to glide randomly big to start. So I kind of lean back. I get closer to the tail. I lean into it. I get closer to the hip bone. Kind of lean back, I get closer to the tail. I lean into it, I get closer to the hip. Again, if I feel an area that feels like maybe it's a little lumpy, a little more adhered than somewhere else, I kind of circle around that. I find a spot to just sort of edge up against it. And again, I can do the clamming. Again, same muscles act upon that internal and external rotation. Again, I could straighten out my leg. I could move my body over the roller. And this is definitely an area to do cross friction, right? So I could kind of lean into it, and I kind of pry and crimp the tissue by just letting my hip roll over flesh that's being left behind. And then same thing, I'm just going to wait there for a second. Okay, so take your time, come on and off the roller. Let's have you guys lie on your right side to start. Yeah, you guys will lie on your right side. So let's start with a clam. And clamming, let's do it, we'll do this one kind of on its own, okay? So you're going to lie on your side. And you want to remember 3 things when you're going to do a clam. The first thing is all about the setup. Setup's most important. So as soon as you get on your side, the 2 things you want to make sure of is that you're not lying on your shoulder joint. So you kind of outreach your bottom arm a little bit. And then you want to notice if you feel like the boniness of your trochanter, your hip joint, is kind of digging into the ground. And if you're feeling that, just put your top foot on the floor, kind of shove your butt back a little bit, almost like you're trying to roll forward, so that when you rest your legs atop each other, you feel more like you're lying on your thigh than your hip bone. We all have that one? Okay, so as soon as you're comfortable, 3 things on the pelvis. The focus of doing neurostrength is to focus on what's staying stable, not what's moving. So forget the leg, pay attention to your hip here. You're going to try to tilt your tail back just a little bit. So I'm increasing my low back curve just by a touch. Then I want to try to reach my top hip over my bottom hip. That's going to make my waistline lift up off the ground. But the thing I want you to notice right now is if your waistline came up, did your ribs come up with you? And if the answer is yes, can you stack your hips but get your ribs to stay down? So I've got my tilt, I've got my stack, and now I'm just going to let my shoulder and my hip fall forward. My top knee looks like it's just bypassed my bottom knee by an inch. Are y'all with me? So I got to tilt, I got to stack, I got to roll. I want you to press your top heel into your bottom heel. I don't care about your toes. And nice and slow, you're going to go ahead and you're going to bring your leg up. Now, as soon as your leg comes up, whether you know it or not, your pelvis has probably changed somewhat in the position. So try 3 things. Number 1, press your heels more together. Tilt your tail again. Stack your top hip over your bottom hip. Make sure that the ribs don't come with you. And now just think about reaching your top knee forward and then try to clam the knee up a little bit higher. Soon as you've got that, take your top hand on the floor. Idea more than a thing. I want you to think about lightening the weight of your bottom leg from the ground just by an inch. And now try to lift that top leg up a little bit higher. Find your core if you need to make your SH sound. Make sure that your spine is staying stable. And then let your bottom leg relax. Nice and slow. Let that top leg return to the bottom leg. Check that you still have your tilt, stack, and roll. And you're going to go ahead and clam that leg up again, and you're going to wait. And then nice and slow, you're going to come on back down. So I always think when I clam, my knee goes forward as it comes up. It's going forward as it comes up. Keep that bottom foot on the ground. And then you're going to bring it all the way back down. No. Watch this. Yeah? Let's try 2 more for me. Clam that leg up. You see how little range it really is, right? So the hips were doing all that movement. Yeah, bring it all the way down. Let's go one more time. Yep, clam it up. And this is really good for this knee, too. This is a great one. Okay, so now you go for the pattern. It's the same move. It's just faster. You just bring that leg up. You bring it down. You bring it up. You bring it down. 2 more, lift. Bring it down. 1 more, lift. Bring it down. This time you're going to lift it up. You're going to hold it there. Without pushing so much into your top hand, can you try to just slightly lighten the bottom leg weight? Bottom leg, not your foot, your knee. And then go ahead and release it all the way down. How did that go? Woo. Yeah? So if you do it right, it's way low, yeah? Flip it over to the other side. You can just roll it on over. It doesn't matter. Roll it on over. So the secret of this one, like you can cheat your way out of this one like every possible way. Your brain will Jedi mind trick you into believing you're doing it well, in fact, yes? Because it's so easy to get around the external hip rotators activation. It's a game of who fires first, right? So first thing is your setup. Bottom arms outreached. You're shoving your butt back so that you feel more like you're lying on your thigh. You don't really want to feel like you're lying on your hip bone. Then again, it's tiny. So it's a little bit of a tilt. It's a little bit of a stack. So remember, you're just trying to bring that top hip over the bottom hip so that they're stacked one atop one another. Waistline's going to come up. Check your ribs are still down. Yeah? And then you just take your top hip and your top shoulder and you just kind of fall forward a little bit. It just brings you into the chances of you rolling back into a less tendency, right? So once you're there, just check one more time. So you got the tilt, you got the stack, you've got the roll. Press your heels together and now go ahead and clam that leg up. Yeah. And once you're there, I would care less about your toes. I would almost let your toes fan away. So you're really pressing your heels together. Yeah. And then once you've got that, remember, once you're up here, you keep this leg up. You try to re-tilt your tail again. You're going to re-stack. You're going to re-roll. And then you're going to try to lift it up one more time. Heels go together. Yeah, see how your toes want to drop, right? So it's a cheating thing. So heels are pressing. Top hand goes onto the floor. Top hand on the ground. So you're keeping the clam. And then it's an idea more than a think. You're just thinking about lightening the weight of that bottom leg a little bit. Find your core. So everything's got to hold both legs up. You can't press into your bottom leg and lift it at the same time. Hold it there, hold it there, hold it there. Yeah. And then you release that bottom leg down. And then nice and slow, you bring your top leg down. And as that top leg goes forward, again, you're thinking you're going, forward as it comes up. And then nice and slow, you bring it back down. So make sure you pause at the top. Keep your tilt, stack, and roll. Forward as you lift. Pause there. Press those heels together. Yeah. And then nice and slow, go ahead and bring it down. I'm going to let go of you. Yep. 2 more times. Clam it up. Yes. Hold it there. Yep. Keep that core engaged. And then bring it all the way back down. 1 more time. Keep that tilt, stack, and roll. Clam it up. Press those heels. Yes. And then go ahead and bring it all the way on back down. 4 for the pattern. Here you go. Bring it up. 4. Bring it down. Brilliant. 3. That's so great. 2 more times. Come on. 2. Yep. 1 more time. 1. Hold it up there on that last one. Bring that bottom leg up 1 more time. Lift it up, lift it up, lift it up. And then go ahead and release it all the way down. Yeah. So if you get that little tremble, that's awesome, because that is what neurological reintegration is. It's when you know that you've isolated stabilizers and they don't like what you're doing to them. Yeah. Stay right where you are. Take your bottom knee and just bend it 90 degrees. Top leg's going to go absolutely straight now. So now you're going to go up a little bit into the top of the hip, so you're a little higher up, so side leg lift. So toes stay on the ground. You're going to start all over again. You're going to tilt your tail. You're going to try to stack. This time I just think about reaching my toes to the end of my mat. And again, the ribs have not come with me. And you roll again. Roll forward. Yeah. So now I would tell you to put your hand on your hip. Push it away from your waistline and move super slowly. Start to levitate that top leg off the ground until it gets parallel. Yeah. Okay, so now wait there. Okay, so your brain's going to try to use TFL, the muscle up here. So what I want you to do is just by an inch, take your heel behind you 1 inch, just 1 inch. Don't go too far. Then re-tilt your tail. Restack the leg. Notice how it goes further. Yeah, and then re-roll forward. Okay, so no movement in the hip now. Focus on what's staying stable. Internally rotate the thigh. Go back to neutral. Now try to externally rotate the leg. Don't let that hip come with you. Go back to neutral. Yeah, try again. Internally rotate. Back to neutral. Externally rotate. Back to neutral. Again, internally rotate. Yeah, feel the difference. And then back to neutral. And then externally rotate. And back to neutral. And this time you're going to internally rotate. You're going to keep it there. Okay, so now check your tilt, stack, and roll. And now just 1 inch with subtlety. Bring the leg up 1 inch. Try to stay there. And then just come down with that accuracy 1 inch. Try again. Just 1 inch higher than parallel. And then right back to parallel. 2 more times, and I'll let you go. 1 more inch up. And then back to parallel. 1 more time. Lift it. Yeah, keep that leg energizing behind you. And then back to parallel. So now you go for the pattern. You're just changing the range and pace. You're going up to where you had it, but then you're going to try to let the toe tap to the ground. You go all the way back up. You go all the way back down. 2 more. All the way up. All the way down. 1 more. Up, 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 up. Yes. And down. This time you're going to come up. You're going to hold it there. Yeah. Check your tilt, stack, and roll. Here comes the hard part. No pause. Internally rotate the leg. Externally rotate. Internally rotate. Externally rotate. Internally rotate. Externally rotate. 1 more. Internal. External. And then release it all the way down. Oh! Brutal! Flip over. Let's do it on the other side. Yeah. So I hate to say it, but every once in a while I do see some of you guys, you close your eyes and you imagine that it's happening and you go internal rotation, external, internal, external. I'm like, that is so your foot. I don't see anything happening up here. It's got to happen from here, this joint. Yeah, I know. It's terrible to do it, but it's good for you. All right, bottom knee's going to bend. Top leg's going to go straight, so you're like this. And again, once you're there, make sure you're not lying on your shoulder. You don't feel like you're lying on your hip. You shove your butt back, get more weight on your thigh. And then same thing, it's all about the pelvic position. Pelvic position is your big, nasty nut. You got to get this perfect. It's precision, right? So again, it's a little bit of a tilt. So the pubic bone's kind of energized towards your heel. You're stacking, you're pushing your top hip away. And then you're rolling your whole torso, everything comes forward. Because it'll just stop you from going back, right? So once you've got that, find your core, put your hand on your hip, push that top hip away from you. And then nice and slow, you're going to lift that top leg up. I see you. Your brain's going, where are we? Yeah. Okay. So now again, once your leg is parallel, you want to just recheck. So you want to recheck that you've got that tilt, that stack, and that roll. That leg comes up. That's the position you got to hold. And then again, once you're here, just bring your leg slightly backward, just by an inch. Bring that leg back up. Up, 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 up. It's right there. Yeah. Okay, so from here, internally rotate the leg. Go back to neutral. Externally rotate it. Go back to neutral. Internally rotate it. You're close. Back to neutral. Externally rotate it. Yes. Back to neutral. 2 more. Internal. Toes down. Back to neutral. External. Toes up. Back to neutral. 1 more time. Internal. Yes. Neutral. There you go. External. Yes. Back to neutral. Internally rotate. Check your tilt, stack, and roll. Right where you are, go up 1 inch with precision. Don't bounce. Wait there. Just 1 inch, you go down. Keep reaching that leg out of the socket. Go up 1 inch. Yes. And then go back to parallel. 2 more. Lift and you got to stop there. Hold it. Yeah. And then go back to parallel. I'm going to let you go. 1 more time. Here we go. Up 1 inch. Yep. And then back to parallel. Here we go. We're going to change the range. You go up 2 inches. You go all the way back down to the floor. You go up 2 inches. You go all the way down. You go up. Past parallel 2 inches. 1 more time. All the way up. All the way back down. This time you come up. You stay there. Check your tilt, stack, and roll. Really reach that leg. No pause, no hip motion. Internally rotate the leg. Think about reaching it out. Externally rotate. Internally rotate. Externally rotate. No hips. Internally rotate. Femur. Externally rotate. 1 more time. Internally rotate. Externally rotate. Release it all the way down. Oh, my God. Sue, I thought you liked us. Bend your knees, lie on your back. Put the roller in between your knees. Let's try a knee knocker. So now we want to take the rooted core into it, right? So we're going to kind of focus all rooted core now. See if we can channel that up into your hips. And we'll do a couple of hip stabilization techniques. Okay, so you're lying on your back. Feet are hip width apart. The roller is closer to your knees than it is to your pelvis. And I like to kind of take my heels a little outboard, like just slightly pigeon-toed, not by a ton. But then I sort of scoop my heels under so that I really feel like the center of my heels are really on the ground. I find the ball of my big toes, and I find the outside of my feet. And don't be surprised if you get a foot cramp doing this, because we're actually tying the line from your inner thigh all the way down to the inside of your foot and then up into your pelvis. So you're going to gently squeeze your knees into the roller, all right? So I just want you to just 4 times. Just give me a little squeeze. 1, squeeze 2, squeeze 3, and then squeeze 1 more time. Okay, so keep that gentle squeeze. I want you guys to think about the bones just below your shoulder blades being more pronounced into the ground. So just think about keeping just below the shoulder blades down. Push into your feet and try to get your hips to come on up off the ground. But keep those bones in that mid-rib wall nice and focused onto the ground. Now, to give you more of the experience of your ribs on the ground, think about pushing into your feet like as if you're going to slide your heels away from your butt. That's going to kind of smear your back line back into the floor. And then once you're here, I want you to think about squeezing the knees into the roller and then energize your knees over your toes. And I want you to almost think like you are externally rotating your thighs. You're almost trying to get the squeeze of your legs to get to the bottom of the roller rather than the top of the roller. Hold it there for me. So if you've got this one right, back of your butt, back of the legs start to fire a little bit. Check that your ribs are still nice and heavy. And now nice and slow, you're going to keep squeezing that roller. You're going to let your hips start to lower to the ground. And I want you to think about how your thighs are internally rotating. As you release them back down, the crease of your hips return. Okay, let's try it again. So same thing, pushing firmly into your feet, ribs are heavy, you squeeze the roller, you bring your hips up. Yeah, so super precision here. So again, once you're here, I just want you to think you're sliding your heels away to get the ribs a little heavier. You're squeezing your knees a little bit more to the roller. And now you're thinking, you're reaching the energy out of the tops of your thighs over your knees. You're trying to externally rotate your legs, squeezing more to the bottom of the roller. And then nice and slow, same thing. You're going to let the thighs internally rotate. You're slowly going to let the hips float back down to the ground. Yeah, let's try it again. Pushing into the feet. Again, starting with the engagement of the feet, you bridge the hips up, then you think about sliding your heels a little away from your shoulder blades, narrowing the knee angle into the roller, and then think, I'm reaching my knees over my toes. I'm getting long in the front of my thighs. I'm squeezing to the bottom of the roller. And then nice and slow, I bring it all the way down. Your legs should be burning by now. One more time, here we go. Pushing into the feet, bridging the hips on up. Again, sliding your heels away from your shoulders, squeezing into it. And then think external rotate, squeeze under the roller. Okay, so now much faster pace here. We're going to come down with the hips. We're coming up, reaching the knees. We're coming down with the hips. We're coming up, we're reaching with the knees. 2 more. Down with the hips. Keep those knees squeezing in. Reach the knees over. So again, I'm kind of internally rotating. I'm externally rotating. 1 more time. I come down, and then I lift up. I'm going to stay here. Really reach those knees, and now squeezing the knees in. Squeeze in 8, 7, 6, 5. I'm squeezing my knees inward. There's no up and down. 3, 2, hold it in, and now you're lifting the hips. Up 8, up 7, up 6, up 5, no ribs. Get those ribs down. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and nice and slowly release it all the way down. How did that go? Fun times. Put the roller under your pelvis. So after we go through this, we're going to try our rib length and see if we've made some changes before we do any of the upper body work that we're going to finish with. So hips are up on the roller. If you bring your knees into your chest, roller shouldn't feel like it's going to fly out from underneath you. If you keep your knees angled to your side of the roller and you let your knees just gently rock left to right, nice way to just kind of alleviate some tension in the low back. And what you're going over, if you're only just slightly tipping, is the sacrum, is your tail. And if you tip your knees a little off to the left side and you create some circles with both of your legs, you'll compress your sacrum as the hip is moving. That'll create a little bit of a shear effect. You could also circle the one leg that you're leaning toward. And you could actually pull on the fascial fibers that attach the front of the hip to the inside of the pelvis. You could also bring your knees into your chest and you could march your knees a little forward and back. And then just remember, if you do a sheared, you just wait there for a second and just think about letting your hips just sort of settle and sink into the roller. And then tip your knees over to the right a little bit. And same thing, you're going to try to create those small circles. And you guys could always use your hands along the side of your hips to just help you stay a little bit more stable if you find that your ribs want to come with you. You could also circle, again, just the one leg you're leaning toward. You don't want to feel any clicking or popping or cracking. And you could also bring the knees back together and you could just gently march your knees nice and slow forward and back. And then you're just going to wait there for a second. Give the tissue a moment to adapt. And then you're going to come on back to the center. Okay, so we started off doing a couple of tuck and tilts. We're going to try it here. You're going to put your hands on the fronts of your thighs. Palms are going to be flat onto the thighs so that your fingertips almost look like they're poking over your knees. And you got to straighten out your arms. I want you to think here, if I asked you to allow the bones between your shoulder blades to get a little bit more rounded and a little bit more relaxed to the floor, let that happen. And now gently press your thighs into your hands. Try to keep both points of contact absolutely the same. The only thing that's going to change is your pelvis. You're going to tuck your pelvis, get your pelvic weight heavier on your side of the roller, and then without moving your ribs and without losing the pressure on your hands, try to tilt your pelvis back toward the top of the roller. And then same thing, just gently tuck your pelvis, get the weight heavier on your side of the roller, and then tilt your pelvis, try to get your pelvis heavy onto the top of the roller. Try 3 more. Tuck your pelvis. Yeah, so those thighs don't go forward and back at all. They only go up and down. Tilt your pelvis back to the top of the roller. I love it. 2 more. Tuck the pelvis. So again, the thighs almost levitate up toward the ceiling. They come out of the socket a little bit. And then when you tilt, they kind of draw back into the socket. 1 more time. Tucking the pelvis. Yeah, and then tilting the pelvis. All right, keep that tilt. Take a breath in. On an exhale, make your SH, SE, or HA sound. Keep that going, and now press your thighs into your hands as you try to land your pelvis to the top of that roller. One more time, breath in. Exhale, press your thighs to your hands. Keep those heels slack to your butt cheeks. Don't use your quadriceps. Yeah, I see that. That little drop is good. Okay, right thigh, right hand stay together. Take a breath in. On an exhale, let your left leg just start to lower to the floor with that knee bent. I want you to hover the sole of your foot over the floor. Hover it. Press your right thigh and your right hand together a little bit more. You can also take your left hand over it too. Take a breath in. On an exhale, nice and slow, bring that leg all the way back up. Swap sides, left thigh, left hand together. Same thing. Take a breath in. On an exhale, let your right leg lower down toward the floor. You're going to hover it over the floor. It never touches, but it comes really close. And again, you're going to hang out there for a second. Take another breath in. On an exhale, nice and slow, keep those ribs heavy, and nice and slow, bring that leg back in. Okay, try it again. So think about it. The pelvis is in the tilt. It's on the top, but those ribs are heavy. Right thigh, right hand together. Left leg, exhale it on the way down. Again, find the floor. Don't put weight on your foot. Just meet the floor weight. Take a breath in. On an exhale, press that thigh into your hand nice and slowly. Let that leg come on back up. One more time. Left thigh, left hand together. Exhale your leg on down on that right side. Again, just tickling the toes on the floor. Take a breath in. Again, on an exhale, press your thigh into your hand and then move that leg on back up. Awesome. Set your left foot all the way down to the ground. Bring your right knee into your chest. The only thing your right leg is doing is actually accentuating a tuck. So I want you to just to try here. Tuck your pelvis, tilt your pelvis, and then tuck it and keep it tucked. So now your weight is heavy on your side of the roller with your pelvis. I want you to draw your right knee into your chest, but I want you to think about energizing your left knee over your toes as the top of your left hip drops towards your side of the roller. And then go ahead and let that go. Right foot goes down to the ground. Left knee into your chest. Now again, don't just pull your leg into your chest. Think about the knee into your chest helping you to leverage the pelvic weight to your side of the roller. And then once you've got that, you kind of energize your knee over the toes as you draw your right knee into your nose. You're just looking for a little tensional pull on the front of your thigh. Awesome. And then go ahead and let that go. So set your feet down to the ground and just give me a little tuck and tilt here and just notice what that feels like to move your hips. Awesome. And now what we want to do is one more core challenge, but this is called the reverse core challenge. So your right foot's going to stay on the ground. Your left leg's going to come up to that 90-degree angle. You guys can take your right hand over the left, so you're kind of crossing your hands one in front of the other, right in front of your knee. And I want you to press your knee into your hands before you start, okay? Now, once you get that, think about it right now. Your right foot is light on the floor. Your pelvis is on the top of the roller. 3 times, you're going to exhale. Keep your left thigh into your hands. On your exhale, bring your right leg up. Right leg goes down. You're just going to hover it over the floor. Take a little shallow breath in. Exhale, bring that leg back up. Inhale, let your leg come down. Exhale, bring your leg up. Inhale, let your leg come down. Stay here on an exhale. Kick that right leg out ahead of you. And now tuck your pelvis. Keep the exhale going, going, going. Press it, tuck, 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 tuck. And then bring that leg all the way in. How'd that go? Tough one. Set your feet down to the ground. Make sure that the roller hasn't gone anywhere. Right leg comes up 90 degrees. Heel slack to the butt cheek. Both hands in front of your right thigh. So you've got to think, my ribs have got to stay absolutely heavy. My thighs got to stay pressing into my hand. Okay, so I can't, those are non-negotiables. They've got to stay. You take a breath in. On an exhale, you slowly bring that leg up. Take the inhale as you move your leg down. Exhale, bring that leg back up. Inhale, let that leg come down nice and slow. Exhale, let that leg come up. One more time. Inhale, let the leg go down. This time, exhale, kick your leg out. And now tuck your pelvis. Tuck it and press that thigh into your hand. Hold it there. 3, 2, 1, and then let it go. Set your feet back down to the ground. Try to tuck and tilt your pelvis again. See if you've increased a little bit of ability to move your hips now. And go ahead and take the roller out from under you. lie flat on your back for a second. Let's just take a quick check-in, and we're also going to check your rib cage. So on your back, ideally when your legs come down, the low back curve right now should feel very spacious, in my opinion. It should actually feel like a lift is closer to the pelvis. Some of you guys might just say, I feel like my whole back is on the floor, right? Which is fair enough, but if you really think about it, if I asked you with your legs straight to tuck your pelvis and tilt your pelvis, yeah, and now bend your knees, put your feet on the floor, tuck your pelvis, tilt your pelvis. Notice where the movement comes from. Can you keep your ribs quiet and move your pelvis a little bit? Does it feel like you've got some swing there? Yeah? Okay, so sit back up again, and let's just check, after doing those moves, if that actually makes a change in your rib wall. So hands go behind the head. You've got that roller behind your ribs. This was kind of where we started. And so you're tucking your pelvis. You know what that tuck is now. And remember, the roller is a little above the shoulder blade. So if I brought my arm up and I pump my shoulder blade, I want to feel a lot of shoulder blade on my side of the roller. I don't want to be too high. So again, what I'm looking for is my extension of my ribs, taking a breath in here. Exhale, try to side bend to the right. And then stay here, take a breath in, and on your exhale, stay there and make your SH, SE, or HA sound. And think about how finding your core is going to increase the tension along the arm line. And then come on back through the center. Try it on the other side, side bend left. And again, take a breath in, and then your way into finding more tension over your armpit. And then come on back to the center, side bend to the right, and then side bend to the left. Do you guys feel like you have a little more range now? I definitely have some range. Okay, so just go ahead and slide down. Put the roller to the base of the skull. And once you're here, I just want you to give me a quick little figure 8. We're going to come back to this exact same move. I'm just giving you the benefit of the doubt to pull some fluid flow into the neck before we do this final move. So I'm just kind of giving myself a little figure 8, maybe hanging out on that left side and creating a couple of circles over there. And then maybe over on the left side, same thing, a couple of circles over there. And then coming back to the center, a couple of compression there. And then just let it relax there. Just take a nice breath in and out and just pause there for a second. Okay, so we're going to come back to that. Roll on your side, come on up to sitting. And you're going to sit up onto your roller. And a couple of these moves are tough. These are in a level 3 sequence. It's all for the stabilizers under your shoulder blades. So it's tricky to find. So what I do with this one is I take the band, and probably all of you will just benefit doing it this way.
Roll it this way or that way?
I don't know. I'm just facing them. But I don't care if you guys are sitting this way or that way. You'll have enough room. Yeah. But just sit up onto it. Okay. So what I would do is I would take the band over the top of my feet. I'd crisscross it under my feet because it'll just ensure that the band stays still. And then I kind of like my toes up, but you could keep your feet down now. It's not going to make a difference. Yeah, but as long as the band's it's got a place, so it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah, so I just put my feet together and I just give myself a little tourniquet. Yeah, or you could do it that way. Yeah. So once I'm there, I actually am not going to crisscross the band in front. I'm going to keep it just like this. So what I'm looking for is if I drape the band down onto the floor and I let it go, I'm going to, wherever, if I just outreach my arms here and I lean forward, wherever that band is, that's how much I want you to grab. Give or take about that much. Okay? So you got to get up nice and tall. And you're going to take your right band, and feel free to bend your elbow, and you're going to drop your hand behind the roller so that the roller is going to stop it from moving. And you're going to pull the other one there, too. Okay. So here comes the movement. Chest goes up. All I'm looking for is for you guys to take your arms and pull the band away from the roller without bending your elbows. Yeah, but you got to stay up there. You might want to straighten out your legs. Yeah, you're all just holding. And then you're just going to let your hands just tap back into the roller. Bring your chest up. Straighten out those arms. I want you to think about punching the floor down and then just try to pull on the band. So nothing should really happen to the band much under your feet because the band pulling is actually, the roller should be pinning it a little bit. Yeah, and then just let that go. 2 more times. So again, all I'm going to do is just try to pull on the band. And then I'm going to let that go. And one more time, I'm going to pull on the band. Awesome. So now you got to keep that pull, and you're just going to try to let the band kind of run against your roller. And you'll sort of feel that little tremble that the roller makes the band kind of ripple. You got to keep pulling those arms. 3 more. 2, 1, and then let that go. How did that go? Here comes the hard part. That was the easy one. You're going to lean forward. Yeah? You're going to lift your arms up. You're going to bend your elbows, and you're going to try to straighten your arms behind you. Without moving those shoulders, you're going to bend the elbows. You're going to pull it back out behind you. You're going to bend your elbows. You're going to pull the arms back up behind you. Yeah, fun times. One more time. Bend. And then straighten. Here it comes. 4 times. You bend, you go 4. Bend, you go 3. Bend, you go 2. Bend, you go 1, and then release it all the way down. Get a little in your shoulder, a little in the back of the arm. Did you find it? Wonderful. Okay, so last move. Here we go. So this is windshield wipers, and this is all just rotator cuff. So I take the band about, like the length of my elbows, about that much width. Yeah? And I grab onto it. So I feel that there's tension kind of there already. And what you're looking for is not your elbow, but your forearm. I want you to put your forearms on your legs, and almost like as if you were trying to clean something off of your sleeve, I want you to think about kind of sliding the arms up until the end of your forearm is on your thighs. Yeah, so I'm really kind of pressing. So you've got to keep the press of your forearms into your legs. Okay, so that's going to activate some of those muscles already, and then you're just going to pull on the band and you're going to hold it there. Okay, so that tension's not going to leave. You're going to keep the tension, but you're going to pull more with your right arm. So that right shoulder's going to burn. And then you're going to come back to the center by pulling with your left arm. You're going to pass through center. You're going to keep pulling with your left arm. Before you move, pull with the right arm, and then let the right arm do the work to move the left arm. It's all coordination. Left arm pulls. Left arm's going to bring that right arm back to the midline. Right arm's going to pull. It's like a tug of war. Back to the left. And then left arm pulls. The right arm comes back to the middle. Yep, keep those forearms pressing into your body. I know that's the hard part. Rotate it out. And then rotate it out. So now you go for your pattern. No stopping. Here we go. 4, out. 3, keep pulling on that band. 2, 1, and release it all the way down. Yeah, I know, those are quick ones. They burn like crazy. Okay, so come back down onto your roller, and you're going to put the base of your skull back onto the top of the roller. So once you come on back up here, again, you're right above your hairline. So your neck is not on the roller, your skull is. And you're just going to go ahead and create some of those figure 8s. And then maybe tip your head a little to the left side. And if you want, instead of making circles, try to pin the flesh between the interfaces of your skull and the roller and turning your head left to right. You're kind of pinning the flesh and sort of crimping the tissue towards your ear when you turn your head toward the roller and pulling the skin taut as you turn your face more toward the ceiling. And then wait there. And then come on over to the right side. And same thing. Instead of doing the head circles, could you create tiny head turns? But again, the intention here is that your skin is not moving. You're not rubbing your skin against the roller. Your skin's staying absolutely quiet. And you're trying to pull your skull bone away from the interface you're crimping. So you're really dragging your skull bone against the inside of the skin wall. And then same thing, wait there. Come on back to the center. Give me those little figure 8s one more time. And then same thing, wait for a moment. Okay, put your hands on the roller, push the roller a little bit more into the center of the back of the head before you let it go. Really feel like your head's like a bowling ball, and you've got to really get the center of the back of the head right onto the top of the roller with your chin expressed up. And then 3 times, you take a breath in. On an exhale, you nod your nose down. You're lengthening through the front and back of your neck. You're not losing the throat space. Exhale, lift your chin back up. Take a breath in. On an exhale, nod your nose back down. Take a breath in, lift your chin back up. And then one more time. On an exhale, nod your nose down. And then take another breath in and lift your chin back up. All right, get rid of the roller. Let's see what the map did today. So what did we do today? We did arm and hammers, we did knee knockers, clams, side leg lift, core challenge, reverse core challenge, windshield wipers. You guys did a lot of moves. Okay, so just go back in and just reevaluate the masses and spaces. Upper body, head, we like it at its center. Arms, evenly balanced, and more rib weight than shoulder blade weight. Turn your head left and right. Notice if you freed up any range, decreased pain. If you freed up anything up top, how your upper body feel? Yeah? What about the arch of the back? Ideally, we like the arch of the back kind of the same size as the neck space. Nice kind of a lower space, not so much under the ribs. And if in the lower body, you get more butt cheeks, back of thighs, back of calves, or from left to right, you feel more balanced. How many of you guys made the lower body changes? I see so many. Yeah, I was going to say I see so many of you guys looking so much more balanced right now. Awesome.